Here we are with part 2 of how to recreate any funnel or website inside of High Level. We're going to break it down. We're going to make it easy. And this time we're going to have sound. We did this last week. Went through the whole thing, didn't see the comments because I was so involved in what I was doing and realized I had no sound. So what I'm doing today is going to recreate somehow the energy of last week, because last week, I don't know if I can recreate it as well as I did. It was beautiful, but we're going to give it a try. So join me and let's break it down. First, let's recap. So we know that to recreate any funnel or website inside of High Level, we need to gather everything. We need to know what page or funnel step we are going to recreate, and we need to gather everything that's on that page. So we need colors, we need logos, we need images, we need copy, we need the backgrounds, we need the links, right? Put it all in one place, put it in a folder on your desktop that doesn't say downloads, because Jesus, if I go through with one more client and try to figure out where did that image just download to, especially on a Windows computer, I'm going to lose my mind, right? Because it just takes longer. So it feels like this is more complicated when it really isn't. It's in the prep. So I do a lot of baking, I cook a lot, and the prep is everything. If you're a professional, you're going to prep this properly. And it gives you an opportunity to make a few changes and tweaks and maybe redevelop a few things, right? It can be such a great time to make these changes as you're moving. It can feel like it's a lot, but I promise you, you're going to be really satisfied with it at the end, and you're going to make the changes that you've been putting off anyway. Just like moving your house, it's time to move, right? Let's move. So we're going to do that first. We're going to gather, and then what we did last week is we wireframed it out. Or there's a low frame and a high frame, I think my friend Nick was telling me, because I'm not, or nor have I been ever trained as a designer by graphics school, kind of, right? You can hear I don't even have the language for it. But I was trained by Funnel Gorgeous Society for Funnel Gorgeous or Gorgeous Funnels or proper design. And this is where I picked up the little bit of skill that I do have. And I am a high-level expert, so I know what the system will do and what it'll allow us to do. So in my experience, we can get about 90% there. And then we might need a little bit of code, or we might need a couple of elements from outside that I'm going to show you some of the things that I do. There's always a hack, but we want to get started. Okay, so let me share my screen, and I'm going to jump over to my other computer, and this time we have sound. Isn't this delicious? You just never know why things work out the way that they do. So this is the home page. It is very simple, and it is also this way for a reason, because I wanted to show you the biggest pieces of this, especially today. And we want to make the page that we created look like this. So let's jump into what I did last week. Last week, we cleaned this up. It looks pretty good. It looks really close to the original. And this is what we kind of started with that's on our About page, right? So we started here, and then through our class last week, if you want to watch it, you can watch it, but there's no sound, right? But if you want to figure it all out. This piece here is not inside of High Level, so you can see that that's an outside piece that's made by Elfsight, which I'll give you the link for as well. They've got a few widgets that are really cool, and I really like this piece on the site. And then we didn't get much further than this. This took a little bit to go through. It took us about an hour in the explanation of it, not in the doing of it. It would have taken less time than that. However, if you're new to the builder, it will take you that time until you understand what we're going to talk about today. And what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about spacing, alignment, margins, padding, etc., and understand the difference, and how do we make this look like it does inside of High Level, because she looks a little trashy, right? So we're going to jump into our About page, because this is the page that we need to redo. So we broke down is there 4 or 5? Let me think. Let me count. Sections are green, right? You can see here on my screen, if I roll my cursor, I was working with somebody the other day and I said, just roll your cursor just so on an angle, and you can start to see the pieces start to show up. So we have green sections, and then we have blue, which house, those are rows, which house the columns. So you can have a 1 column row, 2 column row, 3 column row. And on the first class, we went through the wireframing. How do we look at a piece of a funnel or website, and how do we know how to bring it in? And it really is by sections, and then we look at the rows, right? So the row has 2 columns or 3. So that's that part. And then inside of the purple, which are the columns, we have all of the elements. Now, we didn't break down all of the elements in detail, but we did run through them that first class. So what we want to do is start to run through, and we'll just do these top pieces today. The reason that I'd said to you last time, don't start adjusting everything until you have it all laid out, because once you remove padding and margin, it becomes challenging to work inside of high level, because these little pluses that I need and these little duplicate, trash can, arrows, etc., kind of disappear when I start removing margins and padding, which we're going to have to do on this section here. So let's start with this. I see this a lot. How do I make this top section smaller? Because these banners are quite sexy across the top. They're really great call to action. So let me just get rid of all of this stuff, and let's get in here and make sure that we don't have too much open at one time. You want to make sure that you've left a lot of time for this. You want to make sure that your internet, if you can use your Ethernet cable, you're going to be so much happier, because the wind's going to come and blow your internet out just as you're trying to save. You also want to chronically save as you're going. Don't leave it too long, just in case. So when we take a look at this top banner, I'll call it a banner, I've got the section highlighted, and I'm going to come over here and make sure that this section is what has opened up for me. I want to make sure that when I click on something, I make sure that it says button. I want to make sure that I actually have the settings for what it is I'm working on. It doesn't always look that way. It can be deceiving, and you also may need to click on something twice just to make sure it's the right section that's up. So margin and padding, you can see it. So what's the difference? If I put a margin on this section, if I click in here, it doesn't look like it's clickable. That's your other tip, is click, 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 click on everything, type everything, move everything, shake everything, because you just never know. And there isn't one single thing. There's not one single thing that you cannot undo, get back, redo, etc. Nothing. Don't be trepidatious. That's what's made me as great a funnel builder as I am, and being as quick as I am, because I'm not afraid to click, and I learn it fast, because I'm like, oh, that's a surprise, right? That's a surprise. You don't know that that baby's going to open up. And this doesn't mean that I only have 0, 10, 20, 40, 60, or 80 available to me. I can go 200 if I want, right? So if I go 200 and I'm going to tab over, my margin comes above the section. Does that make sense? So my margin is above, but when I take that back to 0 and I click out here and I come to my padding and I do 100, it's inside the section. So margins are above, on the sides and below, and padding is inside of that. So because I have a dark background, I could see that easier. When you have a white background and everything's white, it's challenging to know where you are putting those paddings or margins. And when you are designing, and if you're like me and one pixel out drives you crazy, you're going to want to be consistent with margins and padding. 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, right? So think that through. How do you want this to work? So I have the ability here to also do a negative, okay? I'm going to go negative 100 this time. I'm going to put a minus sign. I'm going to tab over, and you can see she jumped right up. Now, you wouldn't think that the negative would be available to me, but it actually is. Now, for some reason, it didn't tell me it was negative 1,000. No, we don't want that. It is negative, but it's not going to show it today. Fine, be that way, right? Undo, we don't like that one, that's fine. We're going to put this back at 0. So the padding on this was 20 and 20. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the padding. Okay, you can see. Now, where did I get rid of the padding? I got rid of the padding in the section. So this is very important to understand. I got rid of it in the section. Let's now click on the row. The row also has padding. So if I go to 0 and I go to 0, you'll start to see how that's becoming quite a bit smaller. Now, this is where all of a sudden, do you see? I can see the plus for my element, but the plus for the row and or the column and the section is MIA. And that's what I was saying. You have to be really clear that that's the background color you want, that that's where that's going to sit, and then put your copy in here. So this is your CTA area, right? And you're going to watch me spell. I always say it's like a bonus. It's like the end of the trailer, kind of, you stick around just for the spelling that I'm going to offer you today, because it's going to be right. All right. So this is how you're going to walk through this. Everything is going to now be about padding, margin, negative and positive, and it's going to be top, bottom, left, and right. That's our biggest challenge. And then we're going to go through and work with font sizes. We didn't do that last time. We just drop, right? So that looks pretty good. I'm going to make sure that I save. The other tip is you can save these sections with a name on it. So I'm going to call this my CTA section, and I'm going to click save. The purpose of this is there are my little layers over here on the left-hand side. Please, for the love of Jesus, I'm sharing my screen. Continue without. Yes, I am. Okay, I just get nervous now. Isn't that funny? All right. So on the page here under my layers, I have my CTA section. All of a sudden it's got a name, but the others just say section. So here, there's a 1-column row, and there's the first column, and there's a paragraph element. This is how I can get into the settings if I need to, because my little handlebar and my little trash can and everything is missing. I can actually click on the 1-column row now, and that 1-column row is opened up on the right-hand side. I can now get a hold of these settings over here, right? So that's brilliant, yes? Brilliant. So that helps if you name things as well. I like doing that, especially for sections and global sections. We'll go through some of that as well today. And we will also talk about how to save them. And a button can also jump to sections, right? You have ever seen that? Like a button all of a sudden jumps you back up to the top. Well, which section is it jumping up to, right? Which order form is it? Where is that order form, right? You want to name these. Slow is fast when you're doing this. You think that, and I get into people's accounts, and I'm in my own account as well, and the naming conventions and this front end work feels tedious. I want to run. I want to go faster. Yes or yes? Yes, I do. But when I have to make a change, when I, as the expert, comes into your account and I can't find anything, I got to come back to you and go, what's linked to what? What the hell is that? Yes or yes? You will come back 2 months later and need to make a change, and you will not be able to. It'll take you 3 times longer. Promise me that you will slow down to go fast. This is really powerful. So that's a really good tip right there, right out of the gate. Beautiful. Let's save that. So now we're in this menu, right? When we come to this page here and we look at this menu, it's very sexy. Ours is not so sexy right now, is it? It looks horrendous. It's spread out. It's way too far over. How do we do this? Well, the first thing is we're going to play. I don't know yet either. So I'm going to click on the section, and over in this section, there is allow rows to take entire width. If I toggle this off, it brings everything in quite narrow. Now, I'm working on a huge monitor. You will work on different sized monitors. Build for your monitor first. One of these classes is going to be around mobile and different sizes, and we'll work through that together. We're going to build on desktop first. I'm B2B. My Google Analytics tell me most people look at my stuff on desktop. that's a tip for you. Be sure that you know how people are actually watching, looking at your stuff. It's easier to build on desktop first than it is on mobile. So I really highly recommend that you build on desktop first. So your desktop is going to be really big. What we're going to do is I'm going to go, and again, I'm just going to play. I'm going to go allow full width. Now remember, inside of the column, I can add, it's got auto on the left-hand side for margin, which is perfect. It may size well for mobile, but I want to take a quick look around and see what I can do. So I might go 60-60 for now. And this is always changeable, right? And when I save this, and I come out of this panel, I'm starting to see, and it's a little bit bigger than, that looks funny over there. I don't know, we'll figure it out. It's coming together. Now we can keep previewing and previewing and previewing as we go, right? It looks a little funny today. That's okay. High Level does this stuff sometimes. We'll just keep going because I know that that's odd. I'm going to leave it for now. So I'm going to come in actually back into my section. I've got 0, 0, 0, I got 20 and 20. I might want to get rid of the 20 and 20 as well. So you can start to see what I'm doing. I'm just playing until I can get it to a place where it looks like it's going to work. Now, it doesn't look like these columns are draggable. They are, and right now you need to kind of eyeball it to get it even. Unless you do CSS, you could resize these rows, or you could take the ruler. I'm pretty good with the eyeball for now, and then if I get fancy, I'll do that. Now, inside of my 3-column row, I also have my width here, so I can change this and come in as well. So if I come to 85 here and I go back to my section and then go, I don't want to go full width, it's going to bring it in even more. So which one's right? It's how you like to build. I tend to work with padding and margins well because I've done this for a bit. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just keep staying with that for now. And this business name, this is odd in the menu. I'm just going to delete it, right? And I'm going to add in a logo here just for fun to show you. And this is in no particular order. I am always just like left to right sometimes, right to left sometimes. It just depends, right? So let's pop in this logo. Now she's squishy. This is one of the things that I had mentioned and will continue to mention. When you have on the right-hand side, the navigation menu setting is open, the panel is open, and I have a width and a height of 100. Always, always, always remove the height. The system is going to keep that ratio no matter what screen size it's on. And if that logo, this one as our example, is not optimized to be like, to do that, is going to look skewy just like you saw. So always, always, always remove the height, and you want to do SEO. So this is easier. Logo. Pamela. See, there you go again. Like I always say, like this is such a bonus, right, to watch me spell. Pamela Dale's logo. Pamela Dale's logo. Yeah, we went to school. And then image actions. I love my menu logo to go back to my website. Don't you? When you click on the logo in someone's navigation on their website, don't you expect that thing to go back? I do. So I'm going to open my website URL, or I can go to a step. And this could be the website page of business homepage, right? Then if the domain ever changes for some reason, which we've seen broken domains all over hell and back, right? That's a really safe way to do it. So again, I'm liking where we're going. We're going to go save. Now we've got these buttons and we've got this menu. Let's take a look. This menu, this is a dangerous way to do this. But if you watch it line up here, she's about a couple of pixels out. I would say she's 20, 30 out. Who knows? Let's find out. So in our section, we have 0, 0. So now we're going to go into our row. And I'm going to make sure that I have the blue highlighted. And I've got 15 and 15. I'm going to go to 0. And then I'm going to go to 0. Now what's going to happen is it won't go any smaller when it's got something inside that won't allow it. right? So we want these buttons to be smaller as well. They're quite a bit narrower. So let's work with our buttons as well. And we're going to come on the left-hand side and we're going to go, I think when I was doing this, so this kind of cheating, was 6 pixels on the top and 6 on the bottom is what worked really well on this. And then I change the, if I click back in here, I'll get rid of that. And then I changed the font size. Let's go to 14. Maybe it was 16. So here's a really great, I'm going to save this. What I would probably have done is created one of these. I've got this placeholder. I would probably just go like this, boom, right? Move one of these over. Make sure the line lines up there, that little blue line, and then I'm going to get rid of this one. And that gives me, it makes it just a little bit easier, right? And then this one, they're kind of like, this is the fun part. We can left and right align these as well. So if we go left and right, see how they're closer? One of these was white background, right? And it had dark text. Was that the option? Yes, okay. Book a demo, get started. So then the text for this is all the way down at the bottom. We're gonna go book a demo. And this one here was get started. It's easier to work with it when we have the actual text that we're looking for, right? So we've got, and this one also had a border. So let me find my cursor. And if we go border, it's a full border. It's probably a 1 pixel. Love that color that comes up. That's so sexy. And there she is. I wish I could do even a 1.5 border, but we'll save that for now. Let's take a peek. And then we're getting a little bit closer. Do you see how it's starting to come together compared to what we have? This here font is not as bold. So how do we know that, right? How do we figure this stuff out? Remember the Chrome extensions I showed you last week? There is what font here, and what font, when I go to any website, I can click on it and it's going to give me all the information for that font. It's going to tell me what font family it is. It's going to tell me that it's normal, meaning it's not underlined or italics. It's giving me the weight. It's giving me the size. It's giving me the line height, and it's giving me the color, and it's displaying what the font looks like. This is going to help us moving forward if we don't remember and we want to recreate something exactly. Now this is a screenshot, not a live site, because I didn't want to bury them to death by, you know, trying to be not too critical of, but that's a really great design anyway. But I always screenshot versus live domains. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and I'm going to come over here. Do you see where it says font weight? It says bold. Let's go to normal. Much better. Now, was that normal? It might be a 500. It might be a medium. Now, sometimes High Level just does that. You don't know, it's actually changed. Work with us on this. It's going to work out. Everything's going to be okay. I actually like that better. Excellent. And I've got such a big screen and got it so skewed that it could very well be all wonky. All right, well, we'll work with that. This is why you need to save time and make sure that you've set aside some time. Sometimes High Level is just working this way. So I'm going to go Command or Control on your keyboard, one of the two, and R. And I'm going to do a hard refresh. I hard refresh every Monday. I hard refresh every Tuesday. I hard refresh every Wednesday. I hard refresh every day. You're starting to get what I'm saying. And what I will do as well is remove cookies at least once a week, so that I can be sure that I'm working in a full house, right? Like I've got everything that I need. So what I will do is I will come in here and I will do cookies and site data, and I will delete my, oh, I'm working on High Level this time. I don't even have my own domain up. That's perfect. See, it works on both. So looking good, looking good. I'm gonna just jump over. Any comments? No, looks good. All right, comment if you have questions. So let's keep going. We also need how to get outcome without problem. That's the home page. We want the about page. Here we are here for the about page. we want you to ability they couldn't do before. So this is really cool to kind of start to line up on the left-hand side, right? So let's get rid of this one. And let's go with our first word is manifesto. So I didn't have that in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a paragraph and I'm going to pop that up above and I'm going to type in manifesto. And I'm going to left align. Now, padding and margin is going to matter on these as well. Right now it's 0 all the way around. Perfect. And then I'm going to try to remember. We want you to ability they couldn't do before. I swear I try. I really do. All right. Call to action, that's awesome. We want you to ability you couldn't do before. Okay, let's take a looky-loo. That's quite a bit bigger, so let's have a look. So this is obviously a heavier weight, and we're gonna come to font weight. We're gonna come to semi-bold for that for now. And it's going to look different if you are using a different font. Every font has a different weight. How do I say this? A 600 weight for Red Hat display is going to be different than a 600 weight for Montserrat. So just as an example. So something to think through. Now I can see that this has broken after ability. Oh, and this bracket is here. Now, of course, our custom values are going to come up. We'll talk about those on a different call. So we're going to, we can drag this, and I know I just really dislike the drag. I can't ever get it to work in the way that I want it to. So I do a lot of backspace, typing, and tab. I tab a lot. I use my keyboard a lot when I am in the funnel builder. I love to use my keyboard. It's kind of where I was born. A little bit older maybe, call it what you will, but I'm used to having to move really fast, and keyboard shortcuts work really well, and I can use both hands very quickly. Okay, now we can see that there is a little bit of a, what I would do if it was me, this is 51 pixels, but I don't trust that. I would measure it with the ruler, which we had in the first episode of this, and we could measure how much we would need here. I'm going to go to 10. Let's go to 20. And I always have to come off of this so I can actually see it. When the orange is there, it's challenging for me. So I'm going to get rid of this one because I know that that actually doesn't work, doesn't belong there. Because our next line is, hey, I'm your name, your founder. So we're going to add another paragraph in here. We're going to left align this one as well. And it's going to be, hey, I am your founder. And then company name, something like that. So you can see that we've got the content font. Oh, I never showed you this. So I did this when I first built it out, I believe on call number 1. I always add in my headline font and my content font and my text color. And sometimes I work on the link color depending on, sometimes I need a light and a dark link color. So I don't always change this one. I will change it when that is in the text element itself, and I'll show you that when we get into a footer. This here is the content font. I can tell that over here on the right hand side it says typography type content. If I wanted to change this to the headline font, I certainly could do that. So that's how you're going to continue to keep these fonts separate. Remembering that the H, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are going to bring in your headline font, and the P is going to, the paragraph is going to bring in your paragraph font. So you want to make sure that you've done that and set those settings. So again, a little bit of space and a little bit of space, right? So why would I put space versus just what we would call in the olden days return? Just hit return. Well, return does not give us the ability on different screen sizes when it breaks. Where did I hit return? It will be weird and you'll notice it. So don't use that. Use padding and margins as much as possible. I'm going to clone this because I do see that this piece here has also got that same. So if I want to keep it the same, I know I did 20 and 20, right? And this one here, I'm going to type out quite a bit more. So what I'll do is I'm just going to grab Lorem Ipsum text here, just text, just to grab a bunch of stuff. When I'm building funnels and I'm doing this with people, I will do this. And we'll break this up and never, ever, 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 ever have this many sentences in one, like that. No, just don't do that. That's illegal. I will hurt you. I actually think that's not too much text. 1 line, 3, 2, 1. 1 line, 3, 2, 1. Okay, awesome. Looks good, right? And make sure that you don't have an extra space in the text box. A lot of times I go in and people are like, I can't get it to line up. There's an extra space above and below the text. Let the padding and margin do the job, not return or an extra line, right? Make sure it's always, always, always in your padding and in your margin. So we've got those. Looks like it's a little bit heavier weight, right? I think it's a little bit heavier weight and I think it might be a 16, but it's hard to tell. We're going to just work with this. And this is where you get the option to make those changes as you go if you think that that's what you need. You'll notice here how easy this is to read. I think it's very clear. I would probably put what I call bumps in the middle as well. I would probably put this in a bold, right? Just let me, as I scroll, go bump, bump, oh, pay attention. And I will go over it very quickly, but I might be able to pick up quite a bit as I'm scrolling quite quickly through, and then we'll come back up to the top and try reading the whole thing. So solve this problem, and this problem. So that's what this one is. So let's go solve a problem. Solve this problem and solve another problem. Oh, that typing wasn't bad. All right, so now you can see this is quite, what's going on? Totally different, right? I like to do the command or control, whatever keyboard you're on, and A. A gives me all. It's gonna grab all of it, love it, okay? This is a habit I've got. You can see that this came in at Red Hat Display. I want this in my Potano. Is it Potano? Pontano. There it is, Pontano Sounds. I could tell right away the font was wrong, right? And then I can, oh, look at that. Headline font. What? I would have just changed it to content font. Don't have to go through all that trouble, right? Now, I know that my font here was a 16, so I'm gonna get this down to 16. I'm gonna type it out because it's faster for me. And you'll notice that the line height is off. You'll notice that it's not left aligned, all sorts of things. So first, let's take a look at that icon. That icon is a check mark. Here's the icon here. Click to select the icon. And this had an arrow. And the arrow was a right arrow. It looked something like this, although it is a little bit heavier than what these ones are. These are sexier, but you know, what do? You do what you can. And then we're gonna come here to advanced, and we are going to go to line height, and we're going to go 1.25. Tab over. It's not bad, it's pretty close. You get up and close to it, you can start to see it, right? And then we've got another line and we've got your name. Now this has jumped in as well. I don't know how far. It doesn't look horrendous. I'm gonna hit save again. I don't know why, I just want to. It's a habit. get into the house resonates with you, you're in the right place. Now, what I might do with this one is clone this out because I've got the color set, I've got the font set, I've got the weight set, I've got the padding set. I'm going to just drag this one down underneath here. Watch where the blue line drops it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it one more time. And then this one is going to be just this and your name. Now, where did that little thing come from? Such a great question. Sometimes this happens, and I have no idea why that's there. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of it because I don't know what happened. I'm going to clone this out. I'm going to save. See, there was no harm, no foul. Stuff just happens. So we're going to go, oh, it might have been because I did this. That's what's going on. I don't know if I've seen that before. Okay, let's hit undo. That'll work. We can undo that. And then what we're gonna do is in high level, we're not gonna be able to do that. So let's do that tilde, whatever that thing's called, and then your name. 2, 3, 6 ways to skin a cat. Folks, I know it sounds terrible. I'm not into skinning cats, but there are a number of different things that we can do to make things work. And you'll see again that there's quite a gap here. I'm going to put that above my buttons. And you're starting to get the point here. We've got a -60. Oh, what do we got going on here, Pamela? That's right. Button and button. So I'm going to get rid of the -60 for now because I know what I was doing is I was showing you how to put two different buttons side by side, which is what we need, and we need to negative margin them, right? So I couldn't get a hold of this one to change it or do anything because this one was overriding it. Know that inside of high level, that's how it works. Top left, and anything on the right or below it starts to layer over it. It's the X, Y. We're not going to get into that stuff at the moment because it's just a lot, but that's how it layers. If you want this layer to come above this layer for some reason, you're going to need code. I've got some, but that's fancy. That's fancy. We're going to want to make this work somehow else, right? Yes. Now, when we get into mobile, we might run into trouble, but that's okay. We'll figure that out when we get there. So this button, I'm going to call this button 1, and I'm going to call this one button number 2. So I always know which button I'm working in, even though they are going to be different colors, right? One is got a border and the other has nothing, but this is actually a button. Oh, I didn't mention that. This is actually a button because you want them to be able to click here, right? But it doesn't look like a button, but it'll function like a button because we're going to take the border off it. Okay, so let's do it. So the first one here, what was the wording? Sign up. So we're going to go left-hand side. I'm going to go sign up and open the pop-up, whatever it is. What's the action? Perfect. We'll do that when later. And I'm going to scroll all the way up and I'm going to get rid of this horrendous screen. I'm going to go white. Then what I'm going to do is scroll down to my color for my text. I'm going to change my text to this color and I'm going to go over to advanced and I'm going to throw a border on it. And the border is going to turn out 2 pixel. I'm going to go 1 pixel and I'm going to go my dark color. Save. We've got the first one. Now we know that this is quite a bit narrower. Well, quite a bit narrower? No, but a little bit narrower. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll up on the right hand side. What we can do, vertical, horizontal. Yes, horizontal. We can go to 5. Oh, Pamela doesn't know her horizontals or her verticals. That's perfect. I can put that at 5 or 10. This is the option to do this without padding. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at inherent for now. I'm going to go back to general and I'm going to adjust this to 6 again. 7, because it's a little bit bigger than the one at the top, maybe. And you'd be surprised how much this little bit helps. Because design isn't about pretty. Design is about legibility, breathability, white space, being able to see clearly the steps, giving it room for me to click on and not click on, things like that. Make sense? I hope it makes sense. I can go more into that if you'd like at another time. So this one, I'm going to go more about us. And then there is a icon. Icon picker is before the words and icon picker is after. So we want the arrow, right? You have to click in here and type arrow, and it looked like something like this one. And again, the weight of it is going to be funny, and we're going to scroll all the way up. That background color is always hidden. Always, even though you can't always see that scroll bar here, just push with your mouse, etc. Because, yeah, background color. Because you just never know what's hiding. There's all sorts of goodies hiding inside of High Level at all times. So I'm going to go a 7 here. And I'm going to click out, and I'm going to go 7 and 7 and tab and click and click. And then we knew it was a -60, right? So interesting that I did padding around the button, and then the margin, I'm going to go -60. There's a reason for this. What happened? I removed some of the padding. So now we need to account for that. And we're going to watch this line up. Perfect. And then this button needs to be left aligned? No. Center aligned. Yes. And it also needs to have, perhaps, it's got a padding of 20 on the left. And then here we can also do a -40. Is it going to work? Did it work? Did it give me anything? No. Margin. There she goes. She pulled over a little bit. I would play with that and make sure it works. And then we also want on here, I forgot to do this. I need some space above the name. Because I've got these lined up, what I could do here is put the margin on the bottom of this text instead. So I could put this here and give myself a 40, a 20. I think it feels like a 30 to me, but I don't know for sure, right? This feels a bit high because this has got its own padding again. You can see that the bullets come in completely different than text does. So this feels like I need to take off a 20 on the top. Now, I've got 20 on the top of all of the other text elements. I may want to keep my text elements all the same and do something with the bullets. So let's do that. I'm going to hit the undo button, and on here, I'm going to remove the padding so that I can remember that my padding margins on my text is always consistent. I remember that's because it looks like this is built the same no matter where we're going. You can see there's the same spacing that's happening. So very, very sexy. All right, let's preview that. Let's see if we're anywhere close. It's better than when we started. Can we get an amen? It's not bad. You kind of see where I'll say this just to be silly. You kind of see what I'm laying down. Now, we'll bring a bigger image in. We know that this image is at the top. It's almost, if not, well, no, it's even higher than Manifesto. And she's a full column, but is she exactly half a column? I don't think so. So let's play with this. And then we'll call her a day for today. You're probably getting what it is that I am putting here. Now that's not a square image, Pamela. How do we get that square image again? What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Photopea. Remember, this is where we went before. And I pulled up, was it Pexels I got that from? Doesn't matter what image it is. Let's just go with it. And I need something that's gonna go square. Let's download this one. Now, of course, we always want to be sure that we are acknowledging people's work, etc. So please, if you're using someone's work, make sure that you have cited it. Pexels, this one. and we're going to crop. So this tool is a lot like Photoshop. It's got a few pieces that are a little bit different, but I'm going to go to crop, and it says free, but I'm actually going to go 1:1 because I want square. And then what I can do is I can crop this down a little bit if I'd like. It's going to stay at square, and then I can move this a little bit here. So then I'm going to hit the yes or the confirm check mark, or I can hit enter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come at image, and I'm going to look at image size, and I've got 3160 pixels. I know that that site is not, that's double that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1080. And if I tab again, it's going to give me the 1080, and I'm going to go okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to file, I'm going to export this as a WebP because it's a smaller size pixel DPI image. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to upload that into my, I should have put all these in the folder, right? This is moving too quick, so it's awesome. We're going to upload a new file. We're going to grab that one that was the WebP. I'm going to double click on it, and there she is. And we're going to save. Now, we want to make sure that we have 1080. No height. I want the SEO. So this will be blah, 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 whatever it is, right? My name, your name. And then you may or may not want that image to do anything. We're going to hit save. Now, what I'm going to do is let's preview that, but we're going to go back to that image for just a moment. It's not horrendous, but there's something happening over here that's driving me crazy. What's going on with this? What's going on with our menu? What is going on with our menu now? That section doesn't have any extra, but we did go a full width. Let's now remember we're having trouble. We can't get a hold of the row, so we're going to come over here. Page. Oh, not that one. This section. 3-column row. 3-column row. It's opened up. The settings have opened up. It's at 85%. I am working with alignment. I'm thinking, can you hear me thinking? 85%. I'm going to go full width for a sec. I'm going to preview, find out what's going on. I might have a button. What did I do to the buttons? I left aligned the button, but see how she's all the way over? It's the button. Padding 20 and 20. We want that because that's going to be here, but section, this has gone wild. Something's up because it's gone. Do you see that? It's impossible for the columns to go outside of this section. Where's my section? Let's click on the section. Let's click on this section. It is here. 0, 0. See how it's there? But when I click on this button, it's way over. I'm going to sleep on that, folks. I can't tell you what's going on there because it is balanced inside of here. So something's just weird on the outside today for some reason. That's okay. We'll work with it. Now, this was actually in just a smidge more than it is on this one, but we'll come back to it. We might put a little bit of padding on that just to pull it in a little bit more, but something is wonky with this button and column today, and I don't know what it is. Columns are the same height. Okay, I've saved it, so I'm just going to play with something quickly. What happens if no, my column is still outside. Now, this section, I didn't do anything with that section that's odd. And I didn't do anything with this section that's odd. So, don't know. I'm going to undo that because I don't like that. and we're going to walk back and walk away from it. So let me jump over to my other camera. All right, so that is, oh, look, worked up. That was great. Okay, funnel build. How to rearrange now that what we've done is we did the wireframe. Now we're starting to clean it all up and make it look better. I'll walk away from it. That took me about an hour. I'd probably go a lot quicker if I wasn't talking and typing and I was copying. So you can start to see 5-page website could easily take 10 to 15 hours to rebuild. So if it's you as the business owner, think about that when you go to hire or do it yourself. And if you're a service-based business owner and you're wanting to redo this, give this some thought. Make sure that you have everything signed off on, that you have all of the files you need, and you are going to do how many revisions. Usually I'll wireframe it out like this and get it up in lights, I call it, and then they'll come through and I'll want them to do a full, here is all of the changes at once. We get one run at it. And this is perfect because they will know they get one run. If they think they get more, they'll just haphazardly do it. And if you are the business owner and you're doing this, take this a lot more seriously. This will go a lot quicker. And my name is Pamela Dale, your GHL gal. And you know what? I'm back here next week. We're going to do integrations, back end. And then the week after that, we're going to do some automations for some of these buttons. There's a form, etc. We'll keep going.